Hello, everybody. It's Frank. I'm back. I'm here with Gabe-Wolfe. He's a superstar in the California high school ultimate frisbee scene, and he had a couple questions about dribbling, and I'm happy to answer any and all questions at any time. So you want to introduce yourself a little and tell everyone who you are?
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Gabe. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm a superstar, but I
Come
do
on,
really
Gabe.
love
Everything's
Ultimate.
relative. Come on.
Yeah, sure.
You're a
And I
superstar.
play
Every
in,
bit as much as Jimmy Mickle. You guys are about the same.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I play with the Oakland Ultimate program in California's Bay Area. And I've been playing with them for, I guess I'm getting close to 3 years. And before that, I only had started playing another 2 years prior recreationally. And now my biggest concern with Ultimate is going to be this upcoming club season. And then after that, I'm going to be moving off to college. And so trying to make a college team that I can continue playing on.
Just do me a big favor and do not go to Carleton at all costs.
Carleton. Okay. I don't think that's on my list.
Good.
So that shouldn't be any problems.
Good. All they teach is bad habits. So when you say club season, you mean the like under 20 or what?
Yeah, U20.
Okay. U20. You guys with your newfangled nomenclatures, it's a little confusing for me. What I've talked to your coach Val a few times. How's he doing? Is he still coaching you?
He is not actually. He ended up moving to Italy, back to Italy, and
Right.
he is coaching an Italian team. And he's I'll bring a lot of his coaching style over there.
Great. Okay, so so what I want to do, you sent me a clip. It's about maybe a 4-minute clip, and actually, I can go through any clip. Since this is your team and your teammates, it'll have some context for you, but really it's useful to go through just about any film, and I can say what I'm seeing, what I would do differently. And unfortunately, this video was taken at ground level, so it's a little hard to get when you've got more of a bird's eye view, it's easy for me to draw on the screen and show directions and flow and context. But there's enough material there for me to make fun of you guys. But before we get started, do you have any general questions about motion offense, triple threat principle, dribbling, all that kind of stuff?
So this morning I was just watching some of your Let's Be Frank series, and kind of the difference between dribbling and shredding is a little bit unclear to me, because in one of the videos there were a couple of clips that you pieced together from other sports where you were trying to give examples of shredding in other sports, and it just didn't really click for me. I still not quite getting the difference between dribbling in Ultimate and shredding in Ultimate, and kind of the connection that it has with dribbling and shredding in other sports.
That's a really great question. I hope I can give some meaning to the answer. Basically, I live to shred. Every much as, I forget who's in those clips. I think maybe Gretzky and Curry and Messier and a couple others. There's a snowboarder, some random anonymous person. But all of them are in a state of ecstatic joy doing their thing. They're all unstoppable. They're all very graceful and beautiful and powerful. Because certainly there's a lot of power in what I do. I'm wielding that power, and I'm exerting an enormous amount of leverage, which is what all those other players are doing in their respective sports. The problem I run into over the years is that, even in the video you sent me, there's a significant amount of footage. It's like, well, okay, that's where do you draw the line between what is and isn't dribbling? It's like, okay, there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of sort of maybe dribbling. And so I needed another word to describe what I call dribbling, just to qualify. And I know that I didn't do a good job qualifying it because it was more of just an abstraction. It's like this, it's like this, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, it's like, it's a parable. It's like, I don't unfortunately have the video to show what I can do. And unfortunately, I don't know if that video will ever happen because I'm 61. I don't know if I can shred anymore, to be honest. It's kind of sad. Up until a couple of years ago, I could. And I went out the other day and me and Soli got some of our stuff stolen off a park bench, which kind of sucked. But
that's unfortunate, yeah.
It's whatever, it's karma, whatever happened. But I had a hard time just jumping for a catch. I mean, too much. I've played, God knows, 10, 15, 20,000 hours of Ultimate. There's a little bit of arthritis in there. But back to your question, and hopefully I can try to answer it a little bit more in this video. Actually, what would be a good thing to do? I kind of like this idea. Felix Unger, whatever his name is, Shardlow, posted a video today on dribbling. I don't know if you saw that.
I did just watch that one, yeah.
And I think I've got some. What we should do is actually do what we're going to do with your video with that video, because there's no dribbling in there. There's no shredding. It's like finger painting. It's like, yeah, okay. It's a step up from your video, and your video is some high school kids, doing what, it just doesn't qualify. And I don't know, I think you're right. I don't really have a good way of quantifying or qualifying what is or isn't dribbling, other than that ain't it. One of the main things in dribbling is intentionality. It's an understanding of, it's a self-awareness. It's a knowingness that you have when you're dribbling, of the power that you have, the power that you're wielding, the effect that power is having, and the fact that you are communicating in no uncertain terms to your opponents what your intention is. I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, and you can't stop me. And the more you do that, the softer they play, and the softer they play, the more you can wield that leverage. I mean, there's enough leverage behind shredding, let's say, to move a mountain. Like, it's extraordinary the amount of leverage it gives a team. The triple threat principle comes into that, which is a philosophical construct of the utilization of that leverage. And I don't see any of that. And I know I'm not answering your question, and hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to put something together here in the coming months with some friends of mine and actually show the world once and for all what the hell I'm talking about, and that it's real, and that it's legit, and that there's a reason I'm still here, 61 years old, still trying to share what I know. So I know that's a non-answer. If I had an answer, I would have put it in the video, and I wouldn't have had Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
So it's a good question. I hope I can answer it with real shredding in a video someday. Okay, and I'm trying to something that the whole world wants. They all want to see it, but no one's willing to participate in making it a reality. It's like, and my whole, I can't emphasize this enough. I was just talking to Tim Sach, I think his last name, I didn't get his pronunciation, asking him, to help put something together. In order for me to do this, I would need 20 guys for a good 6 months, probably, to really give what a shock and awe kind of, full demonstration. Here's what it is, guys. This isn't something that can happen on a weekend mini camp. It would take, because, dribbling is a phenomenon. It's a tactic that's used in a lot of different sports, and it just means moving around the game pitch the game field with whatever the game object is, a hockey puck, a basketball, a soccer ball, a lacrosse ball, a frisbee. Ultimate is unique in that it requires the full cooperation of the team to facilitate that activity. And so in order to put together this mythical video everyone wants to see, it will take several months because it's a completely different mindset. Where to be, how to be, what, I mean, it's an entirely different value system. What people value now, most of them aren't even values, they're results. But, and we can go into that a little bit with this video. Anyway, any other questions before we proceed?
So then just to try to clarify what you were saying a little bit, shredding isn't something that you can explain. It's something that you kind of have to show. And at the moment, like the resources aren't there to be able to show it. Is that kind
of? The resources haven't been there.
Right.
Had we had the technology, I could have probably put something together in the 90s, but my portfolio, let's say, expanded a lot since then, but I to me, it always has been, when I play, I always thought it was a lot like snowboarding. It's constant undulation and the moguls are, riding moguls are like the opponents. It's like a skate park or a snow park. It's got all the obstacles, and you're just kind of moving in it's a dance, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not doing a very good job, but hopefully some of that makes some sense.
Yeah. And particularly, I like what you said about the dance, and I've seen that in one of your videos. You described it like that before. Use that kind of metaphor.
It's not a metaphor.
Okay.
I've been dancing for 25 years, and the frisbee's my dance partner.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard that. I have a lot of experience as a dancer in a dance studio, and so I can kind of understand where you're coming from with that. There is a certain feeling that does happen, and I'm only 17 years old. I have not really had the time to that you've had to try to hone this craft, but I am interested, and I am interested in trying.
There's a lot of 17-year-old point guards in basketball that are fucking good dancers. So your age is not, it's immaterial. When I'm in a zone, the dancer, and dancing merge into one, and I'm unstoppable.
All right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, baby. And it's so much fun. And this is what I was trying to explain to Tim. And like, the Ultimate gets so much better. I know you all think it was a great game. I've been playing since 79. From 79 to around 89, I was one of you guys, whatever, and everyone, Ultimate back then. No, it's the same. There may not have been as many of the same caliber players there are today as back then, but no, it's the same. So I understand the passion and the love and the addiction to the game. What dribbling does, it makes the game more beautiful. It makes it more fun to play. It makes it more interesting to watch. I mean, it's just an improvement, an orders of magnitude improvement over the current product. And I don't know how else to explain that, just other than let's make it happen. Like, I'd like to put together a regional team somewhere. I'm in Western North Carolina, and there's got to be enough people out there who are tired of the same old crap year after year, who are willing to take a flyer and like, you know what, Frank's been saying the same shit for 30 years. It's hard to argue with. Let's see. Let's go ahead and make the commitment that he says is needed, and let's find out. So I'd like to make that happen.
All right, one last question between this dribbling and shredding kind of difference or merge.
Dichotomy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So dribbling is not equal to shredding. They're not the same thing, but there's also a difference between not dribbling
shredding,
and dribbling.
shredding. I'm sorry, I'm going to let you repeat that in a second. I
Okay,
just
yeah.
wanted to clarify. Shredding is a form of dribbling, but it's highly refined, highly intentional. It's so different that I've delineated it, but I wouldn't say dribbling or I had it in one of the other videos. I mean, I had like 5-year-old kids playing basketball and double dribbling and saying, well, that's dribbling. Like, like you could almost say any kind of give and go is dribbling, I guess. And I'm talking about something that's just at such a higher level, at an abstract level that I had to call it something else. So what was the final part of that question?
So yeah, I think it was kind of explaining the lineality of it. Is there's a difference between dribbling and shredding, but then there's also a difference between dribbling and not dribbling. And so how
there's a difference between
that?
Dribbling and give and go. Like
Dribbling
some give and goes,
okay.
Like a lot of give and go, you give and you go to the end zone, right?
Right.
Usually it's a give and a go, but you're not. So that's at one end of the spectrum, about as dumb as it can get. And then dribbling's less dumb, and then shredding's highly intellectual. It's very cerebral.
How important of a step is dribbling from going between that poor give and then running to the end zone to shredding? How important of a step is dribbling? Does it matter as a step? Should we kind of try to skip over that? Should we be going through it? That's
my whole point. Yeah. I mean, once this happens, let's just assume this will happen before I'm dead. That would be nice. Once it happens and people are like, oh crap, Frank was right. There's going to be this colossal, you'll be able to hear it. Oh fuck, Frank was right all this time. I mean, once you see it and you just see it for what it is, there's going to be like a pre and a before and an after kind of, whatever date it was. And in the after, people are going to go back and look at old the natties 3 weeks ago. They're going to look at and just sort of like, Jesus, what the hell were they thinking? Like, that's how different the entire paradigm shifts. And it'll happen. Like, if once people get it, they'll get it. It's just a complete shift in the value systems and priorities in thinking. That's a whole different paradigm. And once you can't unlearn that or unknow that. Once you know, it's like, oh, so it'll be obvious hopefully soon. I'm sorry these aren't the best answers, but like I said, ultimate is tricky because it requires the whole concept is a team concept, and everyone has to really understand the system, because I can't. The other comparison I have, and this is snowboarding or skateboarding, is just sort of the half pipe, and you're just, there's acceleration, deceleration, you get to the top, and that's where you do a little something or something, and then you accelerate, decelerate. And every time you get to the end of the half pipe, there's got to be a teammate there to facilitate that activity, and then you accelerate, decelerate into the next one. And all 6 of my teammates have to be on board with, making that activity as powerful as it can be. And they have to change their thinking. So, yeah.
And then is it always you in the half pipe, or does anyone else get to be in the half pipe?
Well, there's you're familiar with Newton and the laws of the first law of an object in motion. What are these laws? The laws of
yeah, so I think the laws of motion.
It's the laws of motion, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the object in
motion tends to stay in
motion. Right. So that's rule 1 of the Frank's motion offense. Rule 2 is throw back to Frank.
Okay. Yeah.
No, not really. That's what people always saw, because they're like, okay, yeah, that's great, Frank, but Does it scale? Are you the only one? It's like, no, anybody can do this. The point guard's the point guard. And I run a lot of plays. I run play action passes, pick and rolls, counter plays. So there's a lot of room in there for, in fact, my offensive system, we were talking about handlers and cutters. My offense system has 7 positions. There's 2 that are duplicates. There's a right forward and a left forward and a right flanker and left flanker. But then there's a center post, a point guard, and a either a halfback kind of person who's a rocker back behind the play, or a secondary center post. Those are both 2 unique configurations. They both work again in different applications. But in both those configurations, certainly the point guard, both flankers, and both forwards are all the primary dribblers. The point guard would be doing most of the heavy lifting, but they all would know when to take over the dribbling in appropriate times.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is most of my questions for now.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see if I know I can do this here. I'm going to bring up. So you've sent. What is this that you sent me?
This is a point from a YCC game from this past summer. The team in dark that we see here is Oakland Smoke. We're a U20 boys club team based in Oakland, California. And the opposing team.
There's some random ultimate team. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember which team they are, but yeah.
Right. And is this the World Champions?
This is.
I saw a USA Ultimate sign there, so this must be sanctioned by somebody.
Yeah. So this is YCC. Youth Club Championships.
Is this in Minnesota?
Yes.
I don't see any lightning.
Yeah, it was the lightning was the day before. The storm blew over.
Okay, so I'm going to hit play here. I've got this this little thing here that I can use. Hey, what's going on? I see. What's going on here? Oh, to show what I'm thinking and what is and isn't dribbling. It's going to be a little hard. I haven't done this before, but it's a pretty cool little tool. Anyway, so here we go. La, 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 la. I don't think, should I skip past this white team because they suck?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine to skip past them. Yeah.
Well, we can stop right there. Okay, let me go back here because I'm just going to critique what I see and how dumb conventional ultimate is. Okay. Right now, this guy's going to throw a backhand to this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And what is this player number 10? What does he see at this moment?
That the disc is coming at him.
Okay, and what else does he see? You're kind of correct.
Where is he looking on the field, and what's the next step for him? What he's looking?
Yeah, where are his teammates?
His teammates are all going to be behind him by the time
he doesn't see them. There's one teammate here that he sees. Not only does he see that, but if you look right here in let me see if I can erase this. This is a little cumbersome, but let's say the thrower is here. This distance between the throw and the marker looks like 20 feet minimum. Mm-hmm. Correct? Yeah. So that's what this guy sees. He only sees 2 players on the field. He doesn't see his would-be marker. He sees this guy and this guy, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So from a dribbling perspective, what he should be doing is attacking right back here. Right? Sealing
Okay,
off.
hang on. I am not seeing any of the things that you're drawing. I'm
Oh,
not
you're
sure if I'm just
not.
lagging or what.
Oh no, maybe you're not seeing them, which is unfortunate.
I could see your cursor for a little bit, so that's how I knew what you were gesturing to, but yeah, I can't tell if you're drawing anything.
Well, this is interesting. I mean, I don't mind doing it with, I can do it with the cursor. Fascinating. If anybody can send me, so I'm using something, magic cursor, I don't know what this thing is. Oh, there it is, Epic Pen. If anyone can explain to me how to do, I'm doing Epic Pen lets me draw on the screen. A good way to do that on Zoom, let me know. But I'll just go ahead and try to talk this over without the marks. But it's good to know that doesn't work. Okay. And you can see the cursor here.
I can see the cursor, yeah.
All right. Sorry for that delay, everybody. So there's 20 feet in between the thrower and his marker. The number 10 here, the only players right now on the field, the only field vision he has, the only thing he can see are the person throwing to him and that guy's mark who's 20 feet away. So the ideal move here, at a minimum, what this number 10 should do is to look this guy in the eyes after he catches a disc and let the defense think he's going to throw it there. And that's going to freeze this guy and it's going to freeze both these defenders. Personally, what I would do if I were number 10 is I would throw to him and then I would dribble underneath both of these defenders and seal them off. Whether he gets the disc or not is a completely different thing. We all know what's going to happen here, right? Number 10 is going to pivot completely 180 degrees blind. Mm-hmm. And by the time he throws the disc, he's going to be marked, which is really incredibly stupid. I mean, that's undeniably stupid. So let's watch this for a second. But imagine for a second, the same exact play, except number 10 throws back to this thrower, cuts underneath here, taking his defender along with this guy. He's going to take them both out because this defender is going to mark this guy. And then this is not a screen because he's 20 feet off. Yeah. Imagine the throw that this guy would have out to here where number 10 is going to eventually throw. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, right now, if everything happened like I explained, this guy would be here, but both 10 and his marker would be here, and this guy would be throwing a completely uncontested throw to this person who would be having his hips faced. One of the major things about dribbling is that what I call hip to hip. The dribbler and the dribblee should have their hips square to each other. So the fact that this guy is throwing out to the outside. And then again, what's this guy going to do when he catches the disc? We all know it's going to be incredibly stupid. He's going to catch the disc and look at that. For 40 years, I've been watching this same stupid, idiotic nonsense. It's horrible. There's no reason for him to. Why did he do that so aggressively and intently and as if the world depended on him pivoting blindly and doing something? And then he traveled, which makes things even worse. Geez, the tens of thousands of times I've seen that player not only do something stupid, but travel is enough to make me want to put a gun to my head. This is horrible. Anyway, then he traveled again. Now that player is going to do the exact same thing. I don't know if you can imagine what's happening right there. I'll be on the field. Behind him over here, you've got three people wide open, correct?
Yeah, probably.
You're going to have the guy who just threw it to him who should be drifting over here. You're going to have number 10 here, and then you're going to have the guy who initiated the offense over here. All three of them, if he just inverts his pivot, at a minimum, he can at least make all those three players viable by honoring their presence and their viability, and thusly freezing the defense. So then if he just all he did here was fake back to 1, 2, or 3 of those guys and then pivoted upfield, he'll have a free throw. But instead, and I don't even know what he's doing here. Let's just move on to your team.
Okay.
Okay, so then there's a turnover because he sucks. Oh, now this was an impressive move. Who is this guy right here?
I think he's in number 0. And yeah, that's going to be a name you're going to want to watch out for in the future. His name is Loic Bio.
Huh?
Loic Bio.
Okay. So he does something here that certainly every D1 college player in the country should have, and certainly any AUDL player and anybody going to Natty should have, and almost nobody has, which is a flick give go. Now, so here, this is a pretty good case of, someone would say this is dribbling, and I would say, well, it's certainly not shredding on all kinds of different levels. It's not, he hasn't communicated anything to the defense other than he's very quick, which is not a bad thing to communicate, but he's not leveraging. He's not getting any. In ultimate, there's a tremendous offensive bias in the rules. Everybody knows this. It's not a conspiracy or some, abstract thought.
Yeah.
So why is it that in ultimate, defenses are allowed to dictate tempo? Does that make any sense?
Well, how do they dictate tempo?
Should I back up to this where this guy did the blind 180-degree pivot? Like, why do offenses play with such this?
So they dictate tempo because the offense lets them. The offense takes the back seat by making these moves that take too long and let the defense set a pace.
The offense takes this assumption that it has to be this way. If they're not playing balls out, we gotta get this, there's this desperation, there's this sense of urgency, bite white knuckle, there's this sense of urgency, we gotta, they're coming at it. It's like it. So you actually make a good point. Defense isn't really dictating tempo at all. Offenses are just idiots. Offenses should be dictating tempo. So here is a good case of that, where this guy, I forget his name, he throws a beautiful flick. I mean, if the throw is way too high, and this is an important thing that will help a lot of people if they just get this, hip to hip. The person you're shredding with, the half pipe, the person you're dribbling off of, your hips and his hips should be square before you release the disc. You need to be able to attack that half pipe, that player of yours who's facilitating your dribble in such a way that you can decide up until the moment you're almost even with him whether you're going to go to his right hand or his left hand. So none of that's happening here. And the throw goes way too high, and boom. So right there, because this guy's going to pivot the horrible, the non-inverted pivot. I mean, look how wide open. All he has to do is pivot to the middle, and this guy's wide open.
Yeah.
And so is the defense dictating that? No, you're right. They're just morons. Look at that. I mean, that's just, how dumb is that for that player to pivot downfield and allow the marker to set up on him? I mean, this is just. So, and this guy, by the way, on his, what's this guy's name? The first name? Willett?
Loic. Loic.
Okay. Loic. Loic.
Mm-hmm.
So as a shredder, it's incumbent on you. Like, I wouldn't even be throwing to that guy. In other words, it's my hip flexors hurt just thinking about dribbling. Like it's a tremendous, that explosive first step, and being balanced and attacking like that is all the heavy lifting. And so you want to know before you even think about making the move that you're going to get the disc back. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
I mean, you want to set up, that's where the intentionality comes in. Like you have to have such an intention. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to move on the field with this game object. Loic is not doing that here. Not at all. He threw it and he ran. Now he's going to get it back here in a second. And now he's going to make the same mistake. So he's made 4 mistakes already. His flick give go went too high. He didn't command field presence in a way that would regulate the offense, that would ensure that at a minimum the guy didn't at a minimum this guy would have honored the move and at least shown the defense that he knew that that was viable. What he just communicated to the defense is that he's an idiot. And Loic didn't decelerate into this. He ran past it, and then he gets this upfield push. But then he pivoted downfield. So he's not nearly as, he's not applying any leverage whatsoever here. There's nothing, it's almost not even dribbling, but I have a hard time saying what is and isn't dribbling. And then he travels. Now people are going to argue with me. I don't care. Do you mind if I swear? I don't give a fuck. That's traveling. One of the most important values in my system, let's just say, is balance. I mean, go back to the half pipe. If you're not balanced, what happens?
You're gonna fall.
You're going to land on your ass,
yeah.
Right? The rules that you guys are playing by is like being in the half pipe where the pipe's made out of marshmallows. Like like falling doesn't hurt. Falling should hurt. Like if you're not balanced, there should be a guardrail there that says be balanced, and there's not. So it's no one's fault, but it should be, if just ignore the rules, make balance your highest priority. That way you're not going to take, I don't know, let's see. He's about to actually, he's right. He's on the ground right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 6 steps. That's traveling. He should have been. I could have stopped in 3. I'm 61. I could have stopped in 3. There's no excuse for traveling. And in the process, he's all this backfield support that he did have when he could have stopped in 3 is now evaporated.
Mm. I think a problem with that, with what you're talking about, with the whole marshmallow, the marshmallow half pipe thing, is I think that is a really common issue because we focus so much on not traveling on the throw as opposed to not traveling on the catch. So you want to be stopped completely, stop all your momentum, and then take your time to throw it and not travel. Because
okay, so
when you let it go is when
hold on. No, I
fall.
get your point. I can't emphasize this enough, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
Balance is 10 times more important than anything you just said, let's just say.
Yeah, of course. I understand that. I'm not trying to argue that part. What I'm saying is that
I'm trying to get you to think.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to get you to think. I like Socrates. So what's a good Socratic question here? Is it true? Is it true? You're saying that because they're so focused on being completely stopped on the catch, that they necessarily have to lose focus and awareness on, no, I have that backwards. Since they're so focused on not traveling before they throw and coming to a complete stop, that's what you said, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
is it true that because they're so focused on doing that, that they can't be focused on both at the same time, or even making the priority? Is that a true statement?
No, it's absolutely possible to be focused on both.
Okay. Is it possible then? Is it true that he needed six? Is it when I'm saying he could have stopped in 3? Is that why is that not true?
It would not surprise me if he had the ability to stop in 3 steps.
If he was running too fast to stop in 3, and I had a pot of gold, I had, let's say, 20 ounces of gold on the line, and all he had to do was stop in 3, would he have stopped in 3?
I would like to say yes, but I'm not him, and
well, hold on.
it's hard to put myself in that position to understand what he would or would not do.
You're not really getting what I'm
Okay.
saying here. Let's do something. Let's go back a little bit. I like Socrates. Socrates is one of my buddies.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
He is great. So the question is it true that Loic needed to be running that fast? There's a $20,000 pot of gold there. Why the hell is he running that fast? Where is that value system coming from? What he's, because of him running, he's willing to concede balance for something. I don't know if someone could please explain it to me. Why is he sacrificing the most important value, balance, for a couple steps of yardage? Get my point?
Yeah, no.
So you're arguing ideologically. You're kind of making the ultimate frisbee's age-old arguments on their behalf. They've been decades, and this is how it has to be, without even realizing that you're being ideological, that you're just restating long-held beliefs that aren't necessarily true. Okay.
Well, I'm not trying to repeat the argument, because what I'm trying to say, instead of just trying to repeat the argument, is I'm saying that, like, everyone who plays Ultimate, at least at this U20 level, has only been indoctrinated with that. It hasn't been a part of a training. And so what the purpose of this video is, I hope, what we're doing right now is to try and spread what's going on so that we can change that
right
idea.
But you're gravely mistaken by isolating yourself and saying it's just this. No, this is 40 years in the making, and it's every team. There might be slight variations, but that the value system is all twisted, and it's actually one of those things where no one even understands why they believe what they believe. It's just, this is the way it is, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
We have to do this. It's like, no, actually, that's not true. That's the base Socratic question. Is that true?
Yeah.
And this is why my primary assertion is that the entire rule set needs an overhaul. But one of the main things is I'm firmly I strongly assert that 3 steps maximum for travel. So that is all you can't have competition where the rules read as many steps as you need, or is, whatever you can't have ambiguity built in the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And having something like no more than 5 steps, and everybody's going to be taking 5 steps. A well-trained team never needs more than 3 steps easily. So Anyway, I think we've beaten that dead horse into the ground.
Okay.
And I can tell you what's going to happen here. Same old thing. Loic is wide open here. I don't know who this guy is. He's going to have, and look what Loic has. I mean, just look at this is kind of a beautiful thing. This guy should be everyone should be hip to hip. This guy's hip to hip. See right here, hip to hip.
Mhm.
Are you with me?
Yes, I see the hip to hip. Yeah.
I don't know if the disc is going to this guy, but that is what dribbling should always be, hip to hip. No defenders in between, and just square and square. I think this throw is going to Loic, and if it does, Loic has this guy. He's got this guy. If this guy is hip to hip, he'll have him, and he has him. So he has a perfect square, 4 people wide open, and let's see what happens to Loic here. He just killed everything. Do you see that? He went from a place, all he had to do was catch the disc, honor the thrower, stop in 3 steps. It looks like he took 6 again. I don't know if we can count because these players go in front of him.
Yeah, there's some bodies in the way. Okay, so Loic makes a throw, like
1, 2,
throws
3,
it to
4.
this person right here.
He should have never pivoted upfield. That's nonsensical. You've got defenders all around here. It's like the one person whose sole mission is to stop him from moving forward, he pivots right into him. You've got an easy 270 degrees out here to pivot anywhere, and he pivots right into the guy, right into the teeth of the defense. So right here, he just caught the disc. This guy 88's encroaching on the space. I don't know what he's doing there, but Loic this guy should be drifting this way. This
that
guy
is Loic in the back right there that's Loic.
Oh, Loic's the guy who threw to this guy.
Yes.
No, I remember. Okay, sorry about all that confusion. But again, I would say Loic didn't command control over he's not being the field general.
Mm-hmm.
He just
in that point guard position, he needs to take more more command, like you're saying.
There's a yin yang relationship in dribbling.
Okay.
There's a dominant, there's a subversive, like the other 6 players have to be by definition subversive to the dominant player. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry, it's just the way it goes. You're acting in a supporting role. You're nothing more than the hardwood floor that the dominant player, the dribbler, is dribbling off of. Your job is to do whatever you can to facilitate that guy. He's doing all the hard work. Once you realize the leverage that this gives you, there's almost no other running around. You can stand around while that guy works, and when he gets tired, someone else takes over. But it's very much yin and yang. There's a lot of subservience going on here, which is just, it's very selfless. Okay. All right. Blah, 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 blah. So Loic's going to get the disc back finally here. I don't know what's happening. I think, again, the downfield pivot, and Loic just, I don't know what he's doing. La, 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 la. All this hard work for no reason. And then, again, a lot of hard work. Look at all this space here. I can only see 2, but all that hard work that this player just did just to get the disc, and immediately I can go through any video and show like this amazing success. Like, I don't know if I can do it here. Like just at the point of catch here, there's success, there's separation, there's advantage. And this isn't the best example, but he immediately, whatever advantage he made, he immediately just here defense, here's the advantage, you can have it back. I'm going to start over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, he has a couple steps. This guy should be drifting over, and he's like, again, if I can go back a couple frames here. He's off the frame. This guy right now should be drifting this way to give this guy an option and to communicate to these two defenders that this is still viable.
Mhm.
Instead, he does what, like you said, the indoctrinated thing is to completely kill the viability of the only thing that these two players know is viable. Don't pivot the other way. Like, why is he pivoting here? The one person on the planet, there's one person on the planet he knows exists. It's this guy, and it should be made viable. Anyway, la, 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 la. Is that Loic?
No, Loic is not in the frame right now. Oh yeah, there he is. Okay, yeah, that is
With the disc.
yes.
Right. So again, he has this guy should be hip to hip. I don't know if I can back this back to 2 seconds. It should be hip to hip. This guy's facing him with the hips, and all Loic has to do. And look at this guy.
Mhm.
So Loic has two guys wide open. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn 180 degrees blind and look to somewhere where I don't know what's happening, as opposed to the two people in the world who are wide open right in front of me. But he sure is intense. And he traveled. He's not balanced. And the stall count here. Now, are you familiar with my player efficiency rating?
No, I'm not.
It's on discoops.com. It's a great tool. It's all the statistics that people keep are nonsensical. They have no value. They're not useful. Player efficiency rating is extraordinarily powerful and useful. It measures how efficient players are. It takes your completion percentage and you divide it by the amount of time the disc is in your hands. Or the average amount of time. So if the disc is in your hands on average 500 milliseconds, that's great. And if you're throwing 95% completion rate at a 500 millisecond average time of possession, your player efficiency rating is going to be about 1.7, which is ridiculously high. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
if you had and the target should be 1. If you have a player efficiency rating of 1 and your whole team has a player efficiency rating of 1, you'll slaughter everybody. But what Loic just did here, he's holding onto the disc for a 4 or 5 count, and it's very inefficient. Oh, look what he did. He just pivoted blindly downfield instead of honoring all the people wide open behind him. I sense a pattern. Now, what's that guy gonna do? I mean, this is a nice little kind of quasi dribble potential for shred here. The guy who's catching the disc, and this would be a center post in my offense, has easily, there's this guy, there's Loic. I think there might be one other guy in the backfield. So there's easily 3 people wide open right behind him.
Uh-huh.
And he there's a pattern. I mean, it's insane. Like and we all know what's happening. This happens on every play. No one can tell me that Ultimate's evolved in the last 35 years. Anyone who says that doesn't know what they're talking about. This is insanity. La, 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 la. Oh, it's a 5 count. I better throw it away to someone. Oh, he actually did something. Now, I don't know why he's running downfield. Again, that's nowhere near shredding. You just need to put a premium on getting the disc back. And immediately, let's say he gets the disc back up here. He might, I forget what happens on this play. But if that's the case, you just forced your teammate to have a PER of about 0.25 on that play. Get my point?
Yeah, you made them hold the disc for too long.
You made him hold the disc way too long, and that's going to get your PER way down. Unnecessarily long. Like, there's no reason. If you've got this mantra to have a PER of 1 and have a PER for your team as 1, it'll shift everything you do. He wouldn't have never made that cut. La 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 la. See, I think he does get it. Oh no, maybe this is a turnover.
It is a turnover, yeah.
Right, which, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to skip these guys. These are horrible. I mean, at least you guys do have some. Ah, good. Oh, someone got a boo-boo. Should I go to the 3:15 mark?
Yeah, I think
All
that's
right.
when our next one starts. Our
Right.
next possession.
Okay, same old thing. This just doesn't get, this is actually a good perspective to drive my point home if I haven't made it already. I mean, you got three guys, all three of them are viable, which in fact only leaves three people downfield, and you're going to turn blindly downfield and assume one of them's open. What is this offense? I mean, it's been going on for decades. It's nonsensical. There's no la 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 la. And he's going to do the same thing. He's got this guy open right now. He's got this guy and this guy. I think that's Loic, or maybe this is Loic.
Yeah.
But either way, if he's catching this with the intentionality of a low PER and keeping this going, and now, do you understand the difference between values and results?
Well, results is what actually happens, and values is what you intend to happen or what you're trying to make happen. Is that what you're getting at?
You don't chase results. If you establish sound values and establish them, and assuming that they're, I mean, I guess that might be a team decision or a coach's decision. We're going to value this, this, this.
Mm-hmm.
A set of sound values and the proper adherence to those values will yield good results. This is a life lesson that has nothing to do with ultimate frisbee. It's just everywhere in life. If you have good, solid values as a company, as your core company values, or as your frisbee team, or in a relationship, the results will come. You shouldn't chase results. Then you're always going to end up in failure. Results are just a byproduct of good values.
Okay.
So there's this saying, this idiom in ultimate frisbee of possessing, what is it? Value the disc.
Yeah.
All right.
I have heard that.
And when they say disc, what they're meaning is possession. Correct.
Right.
Value the possession. Is possession a value or is it a result?
I would say that it is. Well, it should not be a value because
it's a result.
You should not be a value because you want to get rid of the disc. You don't want to hold it.
Possession of the disc is result. Don't chase results. So the expression value the disc is just fundamentally retarded. You don't value results. Have solid values. Yardage is another value, so-called value. It values yardage as a result. So everything that teams do to try to get yardage on everything is they're chasing results. There's no value system I've ever heard of that says, I mean, maybe some people will say continuation or flow, or we're valuing, this. And I would say, okay, is that true? Is that, I can see sort of, maybe that's what you're putting as a value, but do the results reflect what you're saying as a value? Because anyway, he's going to catch the disc. He's got all these guys wide open, and la 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 la. Like, what value system caused him to look off three guys that are wide open and pivot downfield? And this is the point you wanted me to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no shredding going on here. There's not even any dribbling, really. But look how hard that guy made. I don't know who this guy is. He's obviously a cutter. But look how much effort, look how hard he made it for This is why player efficiency rating has efficiency in it. When you measure the entire amount of calories burned, or however you want to measure work, like the amount of running required, you just look back at the amount of work this player just caused everybody to do versus the alternative, which would have been to throw back to one of these three wide open people, is astonishing. I used to have this expression, take the hill, give back the hill. Like I said, you can see the advantage this player has right now. He's got a pretty huge advantage, right? Maybe I don't know if I can back this up by frames. Try to stop it. Okay, look at the advantage he has. The throw doesn't help. It should be right in his midsection. But look, he's got huge separation here, and you got players open. So he's got a clear advantage. In about 2 seconds here, or 1 second, no advantage, gone. Take the hill, give back the hill. Take the hill, give back the hill. Everything that the team and he had worked so hard for. Here, defense, have the advantage back. We want to make this hard. And you're absolutely correct. The defense is doing nothing to dictate tempo. That's a good observation. Oh, how much work was that? Blind pivot out back, a blind pivot. I mean, if you guys did nothing but just inverted all your pivots, you understand what I mean by inverting pivots?
Yes, and that is something we it is something that we have talked about, and I think sometimes it does happen, but clearly there are a lot of times where it does not, and so that's something that I will definitely be bringing back to my team after this.
I have this drill called ball breaker. Yeah, I know. It's very easy to explain. It's 3-on-3 on a mini field, 5 yards by 15 yards with 5-yard end zones, maybe 10 by 20, 10 by 15. It's arbitrary. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then there's a small 5-yard end zone. And you start off with the disc, 3-on-3. And the way you keep score is the number of turnovers. So you keep going. You're on offense by being on defense. In other words, you only get a score. You get a score when you force a turnover.
Okay.
So you're kind of on the offensive team's on defense. No, the defensive team is on offense. Mm-hmm. I'm being funny. So the offensive team gets the disc, and they try to score, and when they don't score, they have to start over. They go back to the goal line and start. So you start on the goal line, you try, and then you turn it over, or you score. And then, of course, when you score, then you swap, and defense lines up on the goal line, and they start. And if you catch the disc on defense, you're obligated to spike the disc in whatever manner you see fit, whether if it's aggro, or some people like the little dainty spike, which is fine. I don't judge, mm-hmm. But it's just part of because when you catch the disc on defense, normally you have to play offense, but in this special case, you're giving it back to them anyway, so you spike it.
Yeah.
Preferably, I like to be very firm with my spikes in ball breaker, and just like get that shit out of here. But the key in ball breaker, and the reason it's called ball breaker, is if you don't invert your pivot, it's an automatic turnover. And okay. It's funny how quickly teams adapt to inverting pivots when you actually make it a penalty. It's like it takes about 30 or 40 minutes, and no, I didn't. And everyone's laughing because it's so funny because the rule is there. Don't do it. If you do it, it's your turnover. And they're saying, I didn't do it. And everyone's, no, you did it.
Yeah.
But it's a really good tool and it's a great triple threat triangle offense. tool because there's 3 players on your team. It's 3 on 3.
Right.
So you're, by definition, you're a triangle. So it's and you look at everything I've been saying here, ostensibly it's all been about triangles and your lack of awareness of where the triangle is and how to utilize that triangle. And all 3 components of the triangle should all be hip to hip. Blah, la, 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 la. Again, he killed the. Now, I'm not saying never do that, by the way.
I mean, that's part of the triple threat is you have to be able to do both.
Right.
But dribbling in balance is the best idea.
Right. 9 out of 10 times I'll invert the pivot, but that 10th time they're expecting me to invert it. That's just what they expect me to do. So I won't invert and then I'll do it. But it's way more different. If I'm going to not invert like he just did, I'm going to come up locked and loaded. I'll be balanced and I'll be looking to penetrate, dribble, drive, penetrate right here. And if that's not there, which I'll know in a nanosecond, I'm immediately pivoting backwards and dribbling backwards here or dribbling across the field. There's you want to keep your boot on their necks. You've got an enormous amount of leverage here. Once you realize the advantage it gets you, and your team is constantly aware of, whatever advantage it is. Here's a normal ultimate. There's advantages. Is that, you get an advantage, you give it back. In the dribbling paradigm, it's like here's the minimum advantage, and you grow that, and it just keeps growing and growing, and you have that huge advantage. I hope that makes sense. If anything else,
I think that is a great way of explaining it. It's I mean, if you measure just one part of advantage, such as like separation between you and the person that's guarding you, and if you measure just that, I think that like these ideas that you're talking about, this dribbling and this inverted pivot, and all these kind of ideas. What do you mean? What?
If you're taking things in isolation, kind of like like in Western medicine, it's sort of like a dosage response. You're just looking at things in isolation, at least instead of holistically looking at all 7 players, and not just in a. I'm kind of doing it here because I'm kind of pointing out things, but but instead of taking a snapshot between, let's say, 4 players right here, holistically it would be over time. And it would include all 7 players and all the different variables and all the dynamic things are happening. And then you would see that normally it's like this, you get a little advantage, you give it back. Whereas with the dribbling paradigm, it continually amplifies itself and you get a good cushion. You know what that cushion is, where it is, and you maintain it and amplify it, and you just keep growing it. And the more cushion you have, the more the defense is willing to give you. Because they have no choice. You're communicating to them. Here's what I value. I value balance. I value this cushion. I value this advantage. And when I have that, I'm going to treasure it and cherish it and understand that I don't want to give any of that advantage up. Why would you give an advantage up to the defense? Mm-hmm. Did I kind of cut you off there? Are we?
So I think what I was saying is so I understand what you're saying with like looking at it holistically versus nitpicking like this one thing. But I think as a sample, like a representative sample, if we look at that one piece of advantage, separation between an offensive player and a defensive player, dribbling is meant to either increase that separation or keep the same separation. Like you're not supposed to run and you're not supposed to wait for your defender to catch up. You're not supposed to run towards them. Like you want to keep that separation, and that's like what you're explaining with advantage is kind of like you said, a more big picture or a holistic idea. But I think is that a similar principle?
It's a subset. It's an aspect. I have this a video and maybe a page on my disc hoops where I have layers of advantages of sports. So the first layer is the physical. I'm bigger and faster and stronger than you, and just physical, nothing to do with someone could have a physical advantage of never played Ultimate before. It's just
Right.
it's a raw, the baseline of an advantage. And then the next layer is a tactical advantage, right? So you might be bigger and faster than me, but I got the throws, baby. You can't stop me. Like I got, okay. So that's tactics are just sort of like building blocks. An in cut is a tactic, a pivot, and there's 15 kinds of pivots or more, but each one of those is a tactic. A dump swing is a complex tactic because it involves, multiple pieces doing collaborative things. So there's a tactical advantage, and then there's the strategic advantage. Okay, well, your team may have better throws and better athletes than my team, but our team has the superior strategy, and we overcompensate for our lack of physicality and throwing prowess by just having a better strategy. And then the ultimate advantage is a philosophical advantage, a mental advantage. When I've won the mental game, that I know that that I know you can't stop me. And when whether you're playing chess or you're in a boxing match or whatever, when you have a mental advantage, implicit in a mental advantage is that your opponent knows you have, otherwise it won't mental advantage. But when your opponent knows that you have the mental edge over you, game over, man. That's Sun Tzu. That's winning the war without even fighting.
Right.
So what you're saying is on the tactical aspect, and it's true. If you look at all the different dynamics happening strategically, physically, tactically, philosophically, it just takes what you said and it expands it into something much more holistic. So you weren't wrong, but
there's more to it.
But there's a lot more. The obvious thing anybody can see is that separation. That's a clear, and it's something you can look at in any game and just see this, just all this work, and you get this separation, and then it's this urgency. Well, we got to keep this advantage because otherwise, what? It's a crazy value system that drives it. If I could make one point, that's kind of it, and that's what shredding does. It really facilitates the maintaining and amplification more than anything of all advantages. It's aware of all the different advantages, acutely aware of them, and does everything to hold them, and not why would you give here's that advantage I just worked hard for, you can have it back because I enjoy. That's masochistic. This is masochistic ultimate. It's like, okay, you can have the advantage back because that's a nice little flick, give, go. And this guy's going to do the same thing, I think, right? Now, again, this is Oleg. Is that his name?
Loic, yeah.
Loic. I used to play with a guy named Ovik, so a little confused. It's very incumbent on the dribbler. In fact, this is a good time to make this point. When I'm coaching and we're doing scrimmaging, I do call three-step travel because it makes that balance value tangible.
Yeah.
And the other one is you have to throw with your catching grip. And that's not to punish the catcher. It's for the thrower. It's to make it incumbent on the thrower. Look at the move he makes here. It's a flick, give, go. It's a piece of, it's extraordinarily explosive. There's a lot of other things he's doing here, I think. I can't tell, it's too quick. But you want to be able to catch the disc. This is the best way to catch. I don't have a disc here in front of me.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. That's something that Coach Val had us practice a lot, is catching at your hips like that, so you can throw
at your
backhand
hips
really fast.
Well, no, you can throw, I think, a dozen throws with this, 6 on each hand, and it's both backhands, it's both flicks, it's push passes, it's scoobers, it's hammers. From this same grip, you can, and I'm, by the way, upside down throws and shredding are counterindicative. Don't do it.
Okay.
Don't, like I there are times where I just outlaw upside down throws. They're just, for scores, maybe it's cute, but it's interesting if you watch people throw them in it when they're dribbling, it doesn't necessarily equate directly to a turnover, but within another 2 or 3 throws, the disc will be turned over. And if you just start monitoring that statistically, like, wow, it's not the first or second, but they just lead to so many turnovers. Loic here should be throwing better so that this guy doesn't do this. That's all in Loic. Like why have such a beautiful, explosive first step there on the give go if you're not in command of the situation? And he's screwed. Look at that face. Loic's like, give me the disc, and like, look, that's on you, man. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Would you say that they're at that point, if the person with the disc right now had still inverted that pivot and turned towards the middle of the field as opposed to outside like he did right there, is it still unreasonable for Loic to get the disc?
No, he should get the disc.
Okay. So there's a combination of things that went wrong. The throw was too high and the turn. And if one of them had still happened correctly, then it could have worked out better.
There's the full version of player efficiency ratings on the site.
Okay.
And if you really
I will be looking at that.
And so there's a level of indirection mixed in, and it would take some breaking down a lot of game film to really get accurate numbers. But basically your total player efficiency rating gets compiled with every person you throw to. And like on this play, Loic's PER, this gets added into his PER. So every person you throw to, their PER on that throw gets added to yours.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
So there could be a guy who's 100% thrower, but he gets the disc off a 7 count on average. Are you throwing to him? If you want to get a total PER of 1,
then you would not want to throw to them. Yeah.
So I think the first mistake Loic makes here is throwing to this guy. I wouldn't be throwing to him. I'd be icing him. I ice people who are not willing to take ultimate seriously. Like, the system I have destroys the game. If you're going to be selfish and not be a team player and not facilitate dribbling, you're not going to get the disc from me. Why? I mean, look at Loic. He's busting his ass on a beautiful flick give go. And, he keeps getting looked off after 4, 5, 15, 20, 50 times getting looked off. Are you still throwing to that same guy who looks you off every time? I wouldn't. So that's mistake number 1. Probably because he knows he's going to get looked off, he threw too high. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I know that it factors into my subconscious that the throw is just not. I mean, if he knew he's going to get the throw back, he probably would have thrown a better throw. Anyway, I digress. Oh, a lefty, really? That's impressive. But then, Loic, what are you doing, Loic? Like, you're not dribbling here. You're unless you get lucky, and luck happens all over the time, you just gave away all your advantage. You don't even know what your advantage is, but you probably just gave it away. You might get lucky and get a score here or something. I don't care. You traveled and you threw some garbage. I think that's it. I don't want to watch and see what happens because it's just not. So I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but if people only understood what shredding does to the game, no one would be playing this way. It's just, like I said, there will be a day where people will look back on videos like this and be like, oh my God. And they'll look at every video at the national levels, at the AUDL championship, at the high school level. It's all the same. The players may be more athletic or better throwers, but it's all the same. In fact, if you go back and look at some of the games from Natties, the advantage is a lot more crisper. Let's see if I can do this. It's sort of like, it's like there's a really distinct advantage, give back, distinct advantage. It's very polished. It's polished mediocrity. But it's much more, obvious as you're watching it, how clear cut the advantages are on all levels, not just separation, but flow, timing, any other way, and how rapidly it's given back to the defense for no good reason. Anyway, I hope this is useful to some people. I know it's probably pretty annoying listening to me blather on about how horrible this is, but have a little mercy. I've been putting up with this silliness for decades, and it's painful for my brain. And we'll get this changed. I have a feeling it's all about to come crumbling down very soon. Just as soon as Trump's back in office, I think. Should be a couple more weeks now. What did I say?
Nothing. I'm a rather firm liberal. So while I disagree politically,
you're a firm liberal.
Liberal is a loose term, I think, but yeah, I'm more liberal than conservative.
I have this theory that the only voting bloc of significance that has voted further left than the LGBTQ plus community is the ultimate Frisbee community.
That is interesting.
I think it's true, and I understand the reason for it. The reason is because ultimate Frisbee is based on Marxist principles.
Okay, and I guess that kind of connects to your idea of having to dribble with the teammates. Like you can't dribble by yourself. You have to share the dribbling. Is that kind of what you're going?
No, that's the ultimate irony. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Okay.
That you guys are all communists, except you refuse. Like communist liberals are the biggest group of hypocrites in the world. Let me give you an example. How do you feel about the government telling a woman she can't have an abortion?
I think the government should not be telling people that they can or cannot have abortions.
Well, no. So the government could be telling you what they can or can't do with their bodies. That's a standard argument I've heard for 60 years. So that's basically what you're saying. Yeah. So how do you feel about government mandates for vaccines?
Okay. One is a matter of public safety.
Bullshit.
Okay, so
bullshit. Okay. Show me some science.
No.
Show me some science that backs that up. That is such horseshit.
That backs what up? That COVID-19 is dangerous, or that
no. That the vaccine is safe and effective. 2 years ago, we started hearing how mail-in balloting was safe and secure. The Carter-Baker Commission in 2005, the Commission on Election Integrity, targeted mail-in voting as the most easy to rig in an election. This is Jimmy Carter and James Baker. And this is a well-known fact. And it doesn't take the commission to tell you if you're going to rig an election, mail-in voting is the most vulnerable part of any election. Why were we being told 2 years ago that mail-in voting is safe and secure? Now we're hearing that the vaccine is safe and effective. It's the same campaign. They changed one word. This vaccine is not safe and it's not effective.
I'm inwardly cringing at your comparison between voting and vaccines. I don't think that's an apples to apples comparison.
I'm not comparing vaccines to voting. I'm comparing one campaign from the government to another campaign from the government, and all they did was change one word, and all you liberals just believe it all.
What are the campaigns here? Because I think the campaigns are what I said: vaccines and voting. I don't know if that's an accurate comparison, like a valid comparison to make.
They changed one word: safe and secure, and safe and effective. And we know that mail-in voting, according to Jimmy Carter and James Baker, actually is not safe and secure. And we know, if for anyone who's actually looked at the science, that the vaccine is neither safe nor effective. And the point is that liberals are perfectly happy to say the government has no business to tell me what to do with my body. And then they'll turn around and say, no, government, your guys are hypocrites. So when it comes to dribbling, you guys want your sovereignty, your personal sovereignty. That's what we see in every one of these horrible pivots. Mm-hmm. Personal sovereignty. I got to have my freedom. I need to pivot blind. That's you guys are hypocrites. Whereas what I'm teaching, it's the funniest, most beautiful thing about dribbling. What I'm teaching is actual selflessness, and you guys refuse to do it. You're hypocrites. I'm neither liberal or conservative, by the way. I'm not ideological. I think ideologies are inherently self-limiting, and that
does raise a question for me.
Perfect. Excellent. I love questions.
And this may very well be a conversation for another day if you don't want to get into it. But if you do not really limit yourself to one specific ideology, which I absolutely respect, and I agree that sounds very limiting.
No, I'm not ideological at all. The way you said that's not true. I don't limit myself to one. No, I don't. I'm not ideological. But anyway, ask your question.
Okay. So why Trump then?
I didn't say anything about Trump.
You said when Trump is back in office.
Yeah, well, he's going to be. That's just that's an objective fact.
Not necessarily that you support him and you want him back in office, just that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I've got Trump 1 signs on my car. That's not a political sign or it's not a Trump sign. It's a statement of fact. I've done my homework, and the idea that Joe Biden got votes, we're smoking. You're smoking Hunter's crack pipe. There's no way Biden won the election. I mean, it's insanity. So it has nothing. This is it. And this is why I am the Donald Trump of Ultimate Frisbee. If you were to be shown, whatever it took, whatever quantity and quality of evidence to show you that the election was a massive fraud. Okay, just a high Socratic question.
Okay,
there.
Yeah.
If you were shown, to your core, you knew it's like, oh fuck, Frank was right again. God damn it. If you were shown, you'll get to that point, that gestalt. Oh wow, whatever evidence is provided, that you're like, oh, this is what happened. It's a 2-part Socratic question, and the first question isn't really a Socratic question. It's a setup for the Socratic question.
Okay.
Could we conclude that if the election indeed was rigged, it would have had to involve elements of the judicial, legislative, executive, intelligence, corporate media, branches of government and governance, let's say, if you want to somehow loop corporate media into that infrastructure, at the local, state, and federal levels, by thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. Is that a reasonable, and you can down sample that to qualify it, but it would be a lot of people, and it would involve people in all these different aspects of our government: judicial, executive, legislative, intelligence agencies, and law enforcement, including local and federal.
Sure. Okay. I think that if we could empirically prove and accept that,
it's not this is just a thought experiment.
Okay.
part one of that was you've already accepted that.
Okay, so if we could accept it, then yes, I think it would have to be like a conspiracy on a level like you're suggesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. And people might have different levels of, but it would be a massive conspiracy. That's not
sure.
the Socratic question. The Socratic question is this: is it about Frank? In other words, the ultimate Frisbee community has had this love-hate relationship with Frank Huguenard for decades.
Mm.
They hate me, and they love the fact that they hate me. And the game is stagnant. We just went through this video when people are making the same stupid pivots, the same stupid throws. Has been going for decades. Is that about me? In other words, if you're correct in your assertion that it would have been a massive conspiracy, is it about Trump?
Is he? So are you asking like, is it because they love to hate him? They want to be able to keep hating him? Or
you're very. See, this is the Socratic method, and I aspire to be good at it, but it's really great because it causes people to actually think. You throw them. No, the thing is like your question was, Frank, what the hell is this about Trump? Like you're making it about Trump. And my Socratic question, because what you and I both know what was behind your question. The guy's a baboon. How could I back a baboon? I never said I backed him.
Right.
My question.
It was my assumption. Yeah.
Well, but the virtue signaling there is deafening, and it comes from 99.9% of the ultimate community and liberals everywhere. And it's just this virtue. Oh, Trump, you can't be complete blinders on Hunter Biden's laptop. That we don't need to look at that. Trump, come on, Trump. Point. The Socratic question is, if there was a grand conspiracy involving tens of thousands of felonies by thousands, and if not tens of thousands of people, was it about Trump? Was it about the buffoon, or was it about the felonious activity of thousands of people?
I'm not sure I understand it. So if it's about Trump, then you're saying
no. You're
it is Trump and it wouldn't be someone else? Or
your question about me and Trump was a virtue signaling question.
Okay, and what do you think I was virtue signaling?
That only assholes would be backing Trump, and that cool people don't back Trump. No matter if it's Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, as long as it's not Trump, us virtue signaling cool people, Trump is just off the he's not acceptable. He's this, he's that. You can't possibly be serious in your, whatever. Your hatred, it's not what the virtue signaling is. What? I'm a virtuous person because Trump's not virtuous. I'm more virtuous than he is. Therefore, why are you supporting him? Because why aren't you supporting me in my admiration of Joe Biden? What? Joe Biden? What are you talking about? How did this get, like, you're not even looking at what's right in front of you because your virtue signaling ideology doesn't even allow you to.
I would disagree with that. I think that my question came up because you said you are not ideological.
Correct.
If you had said, oh, I am an ideological Republican at heart, then my question wouldn't have been why Trump. Or if you said, I am an ideological liberal at heart, then maybe I would have asked it, and that would have been virtual signaling. That absolutely would have been saying, right. You're a liberal, but you supported Trump, then I definitely would have been judging you very harshly. But because you are not ideological, I think my question was more academic than political.
It's... I've been the recipient of spirit of the game virtue shaming. Did I just make up virtue shaming? I think virtue shaming.
I think it works. It works.
Right. Yeah. You know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I've been the victim of, and I'm not a victim guy. I'm just saying I've been the recipient of virtue shaming in the context of spirit of the motherfucking communist game for 40 years. I know it for what it is, the hate mongering, the tripwires. And so what's happened over the last 5 years with Trump, through my very unique perspective as being the number one most virtue shamed person in the ultimate community, I know it for what it is. I know I've been getting for 40 years. You guys, I know what this is, and it's just virtue shaming, and it's done at and so I'm trying to get back to what you're saying, because it's possible I heard virtue signaling where there wasn't any, because I just see it so much. It's there. I still think it was virtue signaling, but
Okay.
I'll concede that it wasn't, because your explanation was right. But my point is that my worldview or how I'm seeing what's playing out right now with the vaccine and the safe and secure and the safe and effective and everything that's happened since June of 2015, when Trump came down the escalator, through the lens of 40 years of ultimate Frisbee virtue shaming. I just recognize it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I don't know if you can appreciate, like, since like before your dad was born, I've been virtue shamed by you guys. And so it's through that's the lens that I've been informed of why the communists, how ultimate's based on Marxist principles. And, it's just the hypocrisy. Oh no, government can't say what I can do with my body. Oh, you got to get an injection. Like, by the way, it's not a vaccine. It's an mRNA gene therapy that's not been approved by the FDA. And God knows, we have no idea what is going to happen to people. Yesterday, France kicked Moderna out of the country because of the amount of injuries, the vaccine injuries to the hearts of people with myocarditis. Germany today strongly recommended people not to get the Moderna. I mean, like, one of the biggest shocking things to me, and I got censored by you guys with the virtue shaming. I did. I can't post on Reddit. Like, the greatest ultimate Frisbee player ever. There's no close second. I'm so far beyond all you guys. I can't post on a public forum, the town square, for a sport, because the virtue signaling lefties, who are the moderators on the group, have censored me.
Yeah.
Twitter censored the president of the United States. I mean, the amount of explicit censorship is shocking, but the implicit censorship is far worse, because it's the virtue signaling. It's the, oh, you didn't listen. You didn't do a Zoom call with Frank, did you? Oh my God, what are you doing? Trump will be back in office very soon. The election was a massive conspiracy. They had to do it. They had no choice, because they're all going to prison. They committed the dozens and dozens of high-ranking Department of Justice, FBI, CIA officials, and White House officials from the Obama administration committed hundreds and hundreds of felonies from 2015 through 2017 to make sure Trump didn't get elected, to disrupt him during his transition, and then once he was in office, to get him out of office. This is all coming out. They're all going to go to prison, and they had to rig the election because they tried to stop what's coming, but they couldn't. But for anyone who's been paying attention for 5 years, it was obvious that the election was going to be rigged. So this is a great time to be alive. We get to witness something. We're going to have, in the not too near distant future, a new day on the calendar that we circle and we celebrate every day, and you'll be celebrating it. We're going to have a new Independence Day. We're going to get our independence from all these people who've been behind the scenes, controlling everybody and taking our freedoms away. And why is it someone like me that has to be the one to fix ultimate frisbee? All right, and why is it someone like Trump who has to fix our corruption in our government? Because Trump and I are a lot alike. They're not going to, and I'm trying to fix science too. Science is fundamentally wrong. They're not going to fix it themselves. It's got to take an interloper, an outsider, social pariah in my case, to break your ridiculous pivoting the wrong way for 40 years. You're not going to do it yourself. And it's going to take an outsider like Trump to fix the corruption. Love him or hate him, it doesn't matter. They're not going to do it themselves. And certainly now I've talked to people, I'm assuming, you seem like a good American. I'm assuming if you were shown evidence, but it wasn't widely known, like I've talked to people who are like, oh, good, I'm glad it was rigged. Anything to get rid of that guy. I'm assuming you're not one of those people. Like if it was rigged, you would want the.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say whether. Yeah, I don't know whether or not I value a trustworthy government or Donald Trump more. I don't know which one of those I would pick.
Wait. Elaborate a little bit.
Okay, so
give me one example of a policy or a. You know what I'm saying. What's a concrete example of something that Trump did that, in office, that and make sure it's not virtue shaming, because I'm guessing it will be. But an example of some legislative thing, some executive action that he took that you find reprehensible, or it doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? Like something that
I strongly disagree with fundamentally.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe one of his earlier executive orders was the travel ban on Muslims.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to phrase this the way you've been phrasing your Socratic questions. Is it true that is objectively racist?
No, are you kidding? How is that racist? I mean, it was.
How is it racist to ban Muslims from travel?
He didn't ban Muslims.
Okay,
he banned people coming from certain countries. It was proven in court that it wasn't racist.
Okay.
Can you come up with a better one than that? Because that's pretty. I mean, to me, that's not even. I mean, that's not. There's no hesitation. There's like, what are you talking about?
Okay, so since racism as a concept, I guess we have to define it more specifically. But let's say to ban people from certain countries from traveling to the US. Is it true that is objectively discriminatory? And then as a follow-up to that, is discrimination reprehensible?
Is me being banned off of Reddit Ultimate Group reprehensible?
I would say that is a form of discrimination, and I would say that yes, that is reprehensible.
The reason I brought that up is that, and this is actually, maybe it's a really good example, better than the thought when you first brought it up, because to me it's like, oh, really? No, because it's part of the implicit censorship that's going on. Like you hold this position that I would say is ideological, that you've been indoctrinated with, the same way as you've been indoctrinated with these ridiculous pivots. And part of that indoctrination, and to me the most insidious part, and it comes straight out of 1984 and Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, all these books, is, and we touched on it briefly on the vaccine and even on the election, is the absence of an open dialogue to hear a counter. I mean, you're really set. Well, come on, Frank, that's a Muslim ban. But no, it's a ban from these countries. They are actively engaging in terrorism, and they want to burn the great Satan. You know, there's elements within these countries that want to see America die. You know, there's terrorists in these countries. There's active Hezbollah and other known threats, and therefore we're going to limit travel from those countries into our country. And whether or not that's bullshit, or because that's just sort of an alternative viewpoint, the absence of a healthy, robust debate about these is the most insidious form of censorship. It's like, you're held this, and Donald Trump, he's a bigot, he's a racist, he's a homophobic, xenophobic, you know, misogynistic, sexist motherfucker. Come on, Frank, can't you see? Like that, this isn't even an argument. That's actually, it was never a Muslim ban. It was a ban against these 7 countries.
Okay, so then let's accept everything that you said about the countries that he banned and why he banned them, and accept his reasons for them. He had his reasons, and we can assume that they're valid. And obviously,
I think it's important. Sorry to interrupt, but I want this to be. Presidents, generally speaking, I don't know if you know this, but they have information we're not privy to.
Yeah, of course. Sure.
I mean, so that should be part of your statement.
Okay, sure. So he had his reasons. He had reasons that we can't fully comprehend, and obviously, the law passed court, like you said, and not racist per se. And so, would you agree that by limiting travel in those countries because of the terrorist elements and whatever other reasons he had, would you say that he punished, or punished it, I guess is probably the wrong word. Did he limit the whole country because of the actions or threat of a few in that country? And I think, is that also the definition of discrimination?
So I drive about 35,000 miles a year.
Okay.
All right. I buy records, I buy stereos, I enjoy driving. I've driven 4,000 miles in the last month, I think. You can almost call me a professional driver. And most people are good drivers. And yet at both, you're 18, 19?
I'm 17.
Oh, I think you mentioned that. But you drive?
Yes. I mean, not often, but I can. Yeah.
It's not too important, but things, you know, in the middle of the bell curve aren't very interesting ever. It's at the ends of the spectrum that things get interesting, and most people are good drivers. And when I look at the 2 ends of the spectrum, I see 2 different archetypes. On one end of the spectrum are the dumbasses, all right, and at the other end are the jackasses. Now, everybody watching this has their own experientially informed concept of what a jackass is and what a dumbass is, right? But I can give a couple examples because, you know, it's fun. You know, you pull up to you want to take a right turn on red, and the car in front of you is going straight, but their ass is so far over to the right you can't go past them. It's a dumbass. You know, you're going down the freeway and there's about 20 feet between you and the next car, and there's a 19-foot car beside you, and they pull into there. That's a jackass, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's someone getting on the freeway and they've got an entrance ramp that's 3/4 of a mile long. It's all theirs. They take the ramp and they're going down. That's theirs for you know, for a good 60 seconds because they're getting on at 45 miles an hour and they got a whole minute to merge. To get off the ramp, 3/4 of a mile ahead of them, they just merge right away, going 45 miles an hour. That's a dumbass, right? someone who's following too close on the freeway, jackass. By the way, I've been both a jackass and a dumbass, mostly jackass, but I do some pretty dumb shit too. But everyone has their own ideas of the dumbasses and the jackasses, and you're going to go out tomorrow and it's like jackass, dumbass, like someone who's got their blinkers on for 15 miles, dumbass. You try to pass somebody up and they accelerate, so you back off, and then they slow down, and then you're okay. I'm going to go past them. They accelerate, jackass. I got some others. They're not coming to mind, but everyone knows the dumbasses and the jackasses. In my personal experience, all right, over the last 10 years, I've driven 1 million miles in my life. The last 10 years, a good 250,000 since 2010. 9 out of 10 jackasses, in my experience, are males. All right. Did I just say something sexist? This is my experience. There's no judgment. It's just an observational thing. 9 out of 10 dumbasses are women. There's nothing sexist about that. That's my experience. And everybody else also will. Some women are, and everyone else can identify jackasses and dumbasses, and everyone else will have an 80-20 split, like their experience. Maybe it's 50-50, maybe it's different here and there. My experience has been 90% of the jackasses are men, 90% of the dumbasses are women. And I'm both. I'm not trying to, I think this is funny.
Yeah.
The point is that there's a reason why women, and Norm Macdonald, God bless his soul, I love Norm, has this very funny Saturday Night Live skit about women drivers. Not skit, but just when he did the fake news thing. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why men are better drivers than women. Neurologically, the brain barrier, the separation between the two hemispheres on men in general is further apart than they are in women. Men have, in general, and overwhelmingly in general, men have superior spatial awareness, which allows men to be jackasses. They can cut in there and not even, they know what they're doing, and women have better social and emotional awareness because the two hemispheres of the brain, so they can bake cookies. This is what? So this is neuroscience that we know. Had I said at the start, do you know why women are socially superior to men? No one would have batted an eye and said, well, that's sexist. No one would have even thought that. Right. But the same exact neurological, it's not neurological, it's neuroscience, brain science, the same exact phenomena that the hemispheres of the brain are separated differently, and people with Y chromosomes with people who don't. And the difference between spatial awareness and social awareness, we see impacted and manifested differently in society. There's nothing sexist about that. And you can accuse me of sexism. It's kind of ridiculous. This is my experience. Like most of the jackasses I see are guys. That's just how it is. The reason I bring all this up, this is my response to your question about.
Right.
And this is why so many ultimate Frisbee players are liberals, and why I see Marxism as, and like through the lens I've seen for 40 years with the virtue shaming and everything else, is really destroying the fabric of our society. Marx and Engels observed 180 years ago that there was a stratification in our society along financial inequities. Mm-hmm. And he mistakenly made up some theories about the fact that that stratification was artificial, or at least artificially maintained, let's say. It didn't, his theory didn't account for things like jealousy, greed, like human traits and tendencies. It was just
It was purely theoretical.
it was purely theoretical. And Marxism was an attempt at the artificial destratification of our society along financial inequities, which is impossible to do. What we're seeing now in society is that same Marxist principle applied along every possible conceivable spectrum, not just the financial spectrum that Marx had saw. So we see it in gender, we see it in, this whole diversity, equity, inclusion thing is in critical race theory, is all that same principle used over in a same playbook, same play, same pivot downfield without looking back at the thrower, this indoctrinated, this is the way to think. We can't be segregating people by, it's like, oh, we can't be segregating this people this way, so we'll segregate them this way. Like, what are you doing? You're guilty of the very thing that you're trying to fix the solution by implementing the same
problem
with the same out of the same. It's almost like creating using the same theoretical construct to solve the problem, but it's less theoretical because it's actually in application that it's being put in place. So we're seeing it now. And once you realize all the different ways that you can engage in identity politics, gender and good looking or ugly or fat or athletic or smart or intelligent, emotional intelligence, social intelligence, brown hair, skin color, eye color, there's an infinite number of stratifications in society until you realize that ultimately every person is their own unique sovereign being. And any attempt at all at the artificial destratification of some construct is lunacy. The first 3 paragraphs in Ultimate Frisbee are an attempt to artificially destratify sports. Every single rule in Ultimate attempts to destratify athleticism by favoring mediocre players over excellent players. Every single one. The reason I bring all of this up is because you asked me a gotcha question.
Okay.
You asked me a question about racism, which could be about sexism or misogyny or xenophobic or anti-Semitic, on, and every little thing. Well, you don't believe in like this, that's sexist, isn't it? Or that's racist. I don't know why Trump made the rule that he did. I have no idea why he did. He saw those 7 countries as a threat. And he made some decision you don't know, I don't know. The reason I brought up the whole sexist thing, and by the way, I got banned from Brian Sherry's Being Ulti for saying exactly that about, I didn't lay it out like that, but I was accused of saying something sexist about the way women drive, even though any neuroscientist knows exactly that that's a fact. You're engaging in very liberal, very Marxist ideological indoctrination when you're trying to corner me on whether or not something that Trump did, whether it's my opinion that it's racist, without even like there didn't seem any part of your question that was open to a response that was outside of what you wanted, which was that Trump's a racist.
So just to go back to my question, to bring it back up so that like make sure that I'm recalling the question correctly and we're all on the same page here listening in. The question was about the travel ban to the countries and whether or not he limited the many because of the few, and if that is not the definition of that is not also the definition of discrimination. Is that what the question? Was that what I had asked before?
There was, I thought there was one more, that was mostly the question, right?
Okay. So yes, I understand what you're saying. I did make it so that there is like, it almost seems like there is a correct answer there because it is such a specific question and it's all really laid out. In a court of law, that kind of question would not hold up because it is, like you said, a gotcha question. And I understand that. And
so we're at war right now.
Okay, sure.
The election was a massive fraud. Trump has been under attack for almost 6 years now. No, for over 6 years by some organized force that's amorphous. We're not sure who, where, why, but we're in the middle of a war. And you know, I lost friends in high school in Vietnam. We've had Iraq, and maybe you've lost friends in Iraq and in other things, Afghanistan, but like Vietnam was different. It doesn't matter. War is a brutal thing. And it sounds to me from your gotcha question, like if I could throw the same question back at you. I mean, I'm going to have to go back to a real kinetic war. Let's say the Korean War. Maybe that's not. I hate to use World War II, but it's just such a tangible kinetic war. I could just throw your same question back at you. If it's 1943 and we're not allowing people to travel from Germany, and most of Germany we're not at war with, it's just the Nazis, isn't that a form of discrimination? I mean, it's like, come on, Gabe, that's like, I don't know what was behind Trump's decision and what intelligence he had that he was operating on. But I'm not going to jump to the conclusion that he was engaging in I mean, in my example, you wouldn't see discriminating against Germans as racist because they're Caucasians, although they would say Aryans. But you know, in that example, you wouldn't automatically say, well, that's discrimination. But in this example, the problem I have, and the whole reason I brought up the whole sexist thing, which I've been accused of, and I've been accused of all the same stuff that Trump has: misogynistic, anti-Semitic, you know, blah, 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 homophobic, xenophobic, the whole 9 yards. It's just part of it's pivoting blindly downfield and looking for that next receiver. It's just a pattern of automatic going to this, see, he's a racist, without actually knowing. I mean, it's the funny thing about Trump being a racist is, like, you look at all the awards he won in the 90s from community leaders and civil rights leaders for him not being a racist. You know, but it's in this it's this implicit what's a better word, insidious form of censorship that you're engaging in by putting that label, and it's a form of virtue signaling, by putting that label of misogynistic on someone else. Like, as soon as you say, oh, that guy's a misogynist, what are you saying about yourself? That you're not a misogynist.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's virtue signaling. and it's very insidious and pervasive right now, a form of censorship. It's controlling what people. I don't have a mortgage to pay. I can't be harmed financially like a lot of people who've been silenced, who would like to speak up, but they've got to keep their jobs, otherwise they won't make their mortgage payments. And if they get on Twitter and they get canceled and they get fired because of some virtue signaling going on, some cancel culture, they can't do it, so they stay silent. I don't mind. I can be as politically incorrect as I want. And and I don't care. It's like, come on, this is funny. Like the whole driving thing is funny.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
it's all kind of funny, but it's like, you should at least, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm full of shit, but to me, you going with that question is the same thing as you pivoting blindly downfield. It's just stuck in a pattern and this assumption and this painting the perception in a way consistent with your ideology. And the worst part about it, and I've seen this for 40 years in Ultimate, is the assumption that your ideology is the right one. That's my answer.
Okay. And I think that is a fair answer. So while I may not agree with you ideologically and politically and with
I'm not ideological.
Okay, exactly. But then if I am, then we disagree ideologically. I think that's a fair statement.
I would agree with anyone ideologically because
okay,
ideologies
well,
sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So, but can you come up with another example about Trump that's like, like, wow, he can't possibly be our president. This isn't happening.
I mean, I'm sure that there are things. I just don't have any on the top of my head, and I would like to move a little bit away from this political thing and get back to the Ultimate really quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do need to end up wrapping this up relatively soon. I'm gonna have to go.
We can do something. It's kind of stupid that I've been doing this. I could have done this an hour ago.
Yeah. All right. So So what I was saying is, while we disagree on a couple of these topics we've been discussing, I think that you have like a valid and well thought out point, and so I accept that, and hopefully we can, for now, agree to disagree. And
no, hold on.
That's another trigger.
I know. No, it's not a trigger. Out of principle, I never agree to disagree. Just I don't do that. But you can.
Okay. So then,
anyway, but what are we agreeing on?
That we disagree.
On what? On anything?
Plenty of the things that we've talked about.
I don't care about. That's ridiculous.
It's just it's more of like an expression or a saying, like phrase, to just move on, and we're gonna go to the next topic. So what I wanted to do, the last point that I have is about Frisbee and the direction that you're seeing it move based on that video that I just showed you. There are two teams here, and I think we can agree that they're doing different things. Not entirely different, not super drastically different. And to some extent there are overlaps that are going in like the direction that Ultimate has been going for the last 40 years. But there's also some divergence, I think. Do you agree that there is some divergence? Does it matter that there's divergence? What do you think?
I'm more optimistic than ever. I've got for some reasons that will be made abundantly clear in the upcoming days and weeks and months. What I saw from your team, and I don't want to burst your bubble, but to be honest, there's been teams doing that to a greater or lesser extent for 30 years, and they kind of maybe it'll sustain longer. But it's been kind of a flash in the pan. This team will do that, but then you're going to go away to college next year, and you're going to deal with the buzzsaw of the ideological buzzsaw where, I mean, why don't people know how to throw, for God's sakes? And when I say throw, I think we all agree that a Frisbee is one of the common grounds we have. A Frisbee's extraordinary. Like what I can do with a disc and, any, accomplished thrower, you can't do that with a ball or a puck or a shuttlecock and yet you never see any kind of real mastery of the disc at any level of competition. I don't. I mean, there's not a single player alive that, I stop what I'm doing to go watch play. It's all, there's no one I'm interested. There's no mastery. So you're going to go to college and they're going to reduce your skill set, not expand it, typically. So yeah, you guys are doing something great in your U20 thing and kind of works because it's U20. I would like to think that what I'm saying is not true. It's been watching it for 40 years, so I kind of know the drill. But I'm personally very confident with some things that are going on. What really needs to happen is I need 20 guys for 6 months who are willing to, for whatever reason, make whatever sacrifices and commitment that are required to say, you know what, Frank's been saying this for a long time and I want to know. The guy might be a total asshole. I don't agree, Donald Trump. But at some point he makes a lot of sense. I don't like the way he says things, but it's hard to argue with the things he says, and nobody's coming. There's no spectators, and all the things that we love about the sport, I want to see. And if that happens, then the entire sport changes overnight. What the direction your team's going in, and then Felix posted this video today. Is it a step in the right direction? Of course it is. Is it less than incremental? Yeah, it's less than incremental to me. It's just sort of a snail's pace. And it's not that paradigm shifting seismic earthquake that gets people to get out of their shackles of ideologies and change the way, actually think freely for a change and stop being stuck in this paradigm, in this rut that I'm blathering on. But I would say Felix's videos, out of the 2 videos I saw today, his is lends more hope, although I wasn't a big fan. A lot of people have been asking me for a video for 15, 20 years. I wish I had one. Yeah. Because then we wouldn't be on this call right now. And all I can do is hope that, for some reason, God willing, we can get a group together here somewhere in the Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina region with enough people and enough interest and motivation and commitment and devotion to doing something different. And I'll say it again, and I've said it as many times, it's orders of magnitude more fun. It's more intellectually stimulating. It's beautiful to watch. It provides a phenomenal canvas to paint with this awesome piece of plastic that we all love, far more than what's currently there. I mean, it's just better on every conceivable level. It's beautiful. It's my dance. It's more interesting. It drives me crazy knowing that I'm the only one on the planet who knows what I know.
Understandably so. It's like isolating.
And you call me crazy. It's
Yeah,
not isolating.
right.
No, it's not the isolation. I could live in it. I'm a meditator. My whole life right now is about getting people to meditate and to learn about their spiritual, like identity politics should begin and end with this one identification. I identify as a spiritual being. End of sentence. That's it. And as a spiritual being, I take my own consciousness, my own evolution, my own karma as my responsibility. It can't possibly be anyone else's. And leave all the other crap, the Marxist crap, throw that crap away. It's poison. Yeah, isolation doesn't bother me. I think that when I look at all the different models for evolution, from creationism to intelligent design to random mutation and natural selection, the most compelling, elegant, and cogent model for evolution is that reincarnation is the major driving force behind all evolutionary biology. And I will debate that with anybody, and I will win. The current model that science uses is that life somehow emerges out of matter. There's as much evidence for that as there is in the Easter Bunny. And part of this model is that the entire universe is constantly learning, and that life is energy, and we can never create or destroy energy, and life is a continuum. And part of this continuum is to acquire knowledge. And when we acquire knowledge, one of the most powerful driving forces of being a human is to share that knowledge. So it's not the isolation that drives me nuts. It's that I've got this knowledge to share with you. And that's just, it's the most innate driving force of being a human, I think. And I just want to share it. And with that, I will let you go.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much as well, Frank. It was a pleasure.
Okay, good luck. Hope things work out. And don't go to college.